Okay, the Seahawks and Rams played 3 times last season, including the NFC Championship, with the home team winning all 3. Now, all games were decided by 4 or fewer points, with Seattle having an 88-85 advantage. So close, though, right? The Rams led for more time than the Seahawks in those games. So, Lewis, Seattle coming off winning a Super Bowl. Do you like what they've done to address their roster this offseason?
Yeah, I do, because there wasn't a whole lot that they really needed to do. They really, first and foremost, they wanted to retain their own guys, right? So offensively, they re-signed Rashid Shaheed, and then they give JSN a huge extension. I mean, those are big moves right there. Right there, they retain 2 guys who are just dynamic playmakers for them. So then you move to the running back position, right? They let Kenneth Walker go. They drafted Darian Price out of Notre Dame late in the first round, which you sit there and you go, could they have really just upgraded at running back? They could have gotten younger, maybe even more explosive, maybe even more dynamic at running back. And then on defense, their front seven's already stocked. It's already loaded. They lose Boye Mafe, who goes to Cincinnati, but they're still loaded. They still have a lot of guys up front that they can send at you in waves in terms of pass rush and being real diverse up front. But the kicker to me is really what they did in the secondary. I want people to remember this name. Remember the name Bud Clark, their safety that they drafted out of TCU in the second round. This kid who had 15 interceptions in his college career. This dude, him and Devin Witherspoon and Emmanuel Imenwari are going to be absolute hell on wheels for every offense that tries to put the ball in the air. I promise you. Because Bud Clark can play anywhere. Free safety, strong safety, nickel, dime, and he's a turnover machine. I think they've gotten better. I think they're going to be better in 2026.
Man, that's scary for a lot of people. I mean, Sheffy, Seattle remains one of the big questions for the schedule release, right? Any idea who they might be playing in the season opener?
The Bears.
Well, a couple of points there on Lewis, first of all, Laura. Bud Clark signed today, and Jadarian Price, I remember talking to one coach who said he thought Jadarian Price was the best running back in the draft. Running back. I know Jeremiah Love is the weapon, but he felt like Jadarian Price was the best running back in the draft. Now, as for who they're going to play in the opener, it really feels like it's down to 2 teams. The 2 candidates that the NFL has chosen from seem to be the New England Patriots and the Chicago Bears. And we'll find out tomorrow exactly who that week 1 matchup will be against. If it's the Patriots, the first game of the 2026 season would be the same game as the last game of last season, a rematch of the Super Bowl. Obviously, we know the Bears would be a huge matchup in that particular situation. 2 attractive matchups, whichever one it is. Everybody will be fired up to see whoever it is that has to make that trip to Seattle to play that Wednesday night, the Wednesday night before the Rams and 49ers square off in Australia on Thursday night, 24 hours later.
Yeah, the old Wednesday nighter. By the way, reminder, schedule release show tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN as well.
Okay. Ooh, I'm so excited to talk about this right now. I am so excited because there's a couple thoughts that I really want to share about the Seattle Seahawks right now. But, before I jump into it, please, Seahawks fans, do not forget to subscribe and watch the full length of the video. When you guys do that, views go through the roof, subscribers go through the roof, and it's not about chasing views, it's not about just chasing subscribers. Obviously, I want the views, obviously, I want the subscribers, but it's about being able to create Seattle Seahawks content that people genuinely want to watch and discuss, so we can have the most unbiased, grounded conversations about the Seahawks that are really rooted in this sports talk world. I am trying so hard to continue to grow this channel because right now, I realize that the comments on a per view basis is just absolutely through the roof relative to any of the other YouTube channels out there. Whether it's the main big, channels that are, that are also on TV or just like other YouTubers. So like we are literally having some of the best conversations and the most engagement out there. Like that's real talk. Like that is just real math and it's unbelievable. And the Seahawks are one of the reasons why. Because you were the ones you were one of the few teams that I realized like if I just ask you guys like come on like let's do this, you guys do I. And I remember I reached that breaking point where I was like I want to make Seahawks content so badly but like not enough people are watching. Like please show up and watch and you guys did. And so I'm just trying my best to really continue that as I ripped my headphones out from my ears. But yeah, first off, if the idea that the Seahawks have actually gotten even better from last year is like so scary. This defense is going to be elite. There's no reason why it's not, right? The only way this defense ever really takes a big step back as long as Mike Macdonald is a coach is injuries, right? Cluster injuries, all of that. This defense will always be competent, and if you actually have the right guys, make the right draft picks, hit a little bit here, hit in free agency, etc., then the defense will be elite. The defense will be awesome. If you think that the defense could get even better, like to me that's actually what it comes down to more. 'Cause I do think there'll be some question marks offensively because you're getting a new coordinator and that's always tricky. It's tricky for every team that it happens to. Whether you're the Eagles, whether you're the Lions, like it's always a bit of a process. I'm not saying that that's like now mayday disaster, but it is always something, right? Like that is just the reality of the situation. And so I'm optimistic, and obviously I'm a huge believer in Sam Darnold. And right now you have Shaheed, you have Jackson Smith-Njigba, and this is what I also really want to jump into. There's two things that I want to jump into. 'Cause going into it, and they've kind of got away from this, but when they were entering into this segment, they were showing about the Rams and the Seahawks, and right, obviously a lot of people are predicting that to be continuing to be a great matchup, potentially a playoff matchup, all of that. And it's like I'm looking for Mike Macdonald to cook. I'm looking for him to be better defensively against Los Angeles Rams. Because they were able to really get after the Seahawks defense in a way that no other team was. And it's like I'm looking for that to change. I'm looking for that to be like, oh, that was so great what you did last year. It's this year now. Right? That's so great. That was last year. This is this year. Like I am expecting this defense to elevate and be even better. And it was already obviously amazing and incredible. Right? I think it was the Texans and the Seahawks where you can't always just go by points per game. Like we always a lot of times whenever that you hear like, oh, there's the number 1 ranked defense with the number 1 ranked this or that. It's like almost always just points per game. Whether, scoring or letting up. And I think you have to really kind of lock into individual game performances as well. And sometimes it's, you're just shutting down bad teams. Like it can average out, but, having to go up against the Los Angeles Rams twice, in a regular season. Like that's something, right? Like that is something that for instance like the Texans aren't necessarily going against. But then the Broncos are going up against the Chiefs weren't that great but, in years past, right? So it's like you always kind of have to put some of this stuff in perspective. And so for me, it's like I'm looking at the Seahawks for like what are you doing against the biggest and the best and the most innovative coaches, the best quarterbacks, etc. So, like, what do you have in store this year? Not last year, not years past. It's like, this year right now. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that elevation. When you talk about a team being able to repeat or team being able to continue to grow and get even better when you've already won a Super Bowl, right? You've already been at the top. It's like, I'm looking at the head coach. I'm looking at like Macdonald. And it's like, what do you have in store? What do you have in store to make this defense even better? To make this defense even more of an asset than it already was. That's where my mind goes more than anything. Now enter the run game and Kenneth Walker. Now again, I covered every single Seattle Seahawks game last season. I was the one that said that the Seahawks like legitimate Super Bowl contenders. And I said my two babies were the Seahawks and the Broncos. I said that weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks prior to the Super Bowl. It was on a live stream. Someone said, who do you think will be in the Super Bowl? Who do you want to see in the Super Bowl? And I was like, I'm not going to make those types of predictions right now. I was like, but my babies are the Seahawks and the Broncos. And that should have been the two teams that were in the Super Bowl. And seemingly overnight, as soon as Kenneth Walker he won the MVP, no doubt, for Super Bowl, and then went to the Chiefs. Overnight, he became apparently just the greatest running back we've ever seen. Like, overnight, it was just so much momentum, so much energy. Oh, he's going to transform this Chiefs offense. Oh my God, he's amazing. He's incredible. He's unstoppable. He's the best. He's the best. He's the best. He's the best. He's great, no doubt. I am not knocking Kenneth Walker. He showed up. He was important to the Seahawks, no doubt about it. And he definitely showed up in the Super Bowl, and he was locked in on that Super Bowl. He was aggressive. He was physical. He would not go down, right? He was well worthy of that MVP, no doubt about it. But I think people are a little bit confused by how much of like an engine Kenneth Walker was for this. People are really trying to like elevate Kenneth Walker as if he was like Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry. And no doubt will he have success with the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course. But this idea that they could have even elevated or improved in the run game now with their draft, right? Like that's pretty exciting. You're also now having year 2 with Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith-Njigba, etc., right? You're not actually having that continuity. You're actually having that relationship being able to build off of. So like that is incredibly exciting. You're going to see a better version of Sam Darnold, a more settled, more confident version of Sam Darnold, a deeper connection with his number 1 receiver in Jackson Smith-Njigba. And potentially an improved run game as well, and an improved defense. Yeah, that is an incredibly exciting prospect, an incredibly exciting prospect. But I still very much look at this team right now through the lens of will you repeat? Will you be the number 1 team, right? Will you be able to be elite, special, etc.? I really think ultimately that is up outside of potentially the offensive coach, the offensive coordinator just being a disaster with Sam Darnold unravels, right? Outside of like an extreme scenario like that, I look at it through the lens of Mike Macdonald, the defensive head coach, and how special and consistent does this defense become. If he's able to really make this a true bona fide number 1 defense and just backbreaking against elite offenses, whether you're going up against, Mahomes and the Chiefs, Josh Allen and the Bills, Stafford and the Rams, right? Where you're just like this defense is a gauntlet. It's like to me, that's what it all ultimately gets boiled down to. And if you combine that with an elite run game, an improved run game, however we want to define it, it's like we are in business. We are locked, loaded, and just ready to go. And so it's just like I'm not even looking at like, well, what can Sam Darnold do? What can Jackson Smith-Njigba do? Again, that's all part of it, obviously, but first and foremost I'm looking defense. And I'm not a defensive-minded person, I'm an offensive-minded person, I'm a quarterback person. Like that's how I view the NFL, for sure. But it's just like this team, if it's going to be elite, if it's going to be special, if it's going to repeat, if it's going to be the most dangerous top team in the NFL in 2026, it's like Mike Macdonald and that defense. What have you got this year? Who are you right now? What have you got? And then the other stuff is just adding extra to that. So, and if this run game is great and improved, your defense dictates that. Your defense dictates how you can play offensively then. If your defense is taking care of business, then you will be able to run. So, and then you take the ball out of the hands of like the Matthew Staffords, etc. So, yeah, it's an exciting time right now. It's an exciting time. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Seattle Seahawks? The idea that they have potentially even improved from the team that they were last year? What do you think it'll take for them to be able to stay at the top and go back to back? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.